Welcome back for part 5 of the beginner's tutorial to Rising World in Alpha 0617. This is Zartavian, and we're going to pretend that we've made it back to base with all the delightful ores that we've managed to collect, and as you can see, they are just about done cooking in the oven. Now, for those of you who don't know what this thing is, it is an ore smelter, or an ore furnace, depending on what you want to call it. In the listing here, go under crafting stations, smelting furnace. You'll see it requires 128 stone, and you'll be able to build one. So let's take a look here and see how it works. Once you've placed it, I guess I should actually cover that a little bit. The placement of it is something important because you cannot move it once you've placed it. It's one of the few things that is permanent. So, with that in mind, let's do a smelting furnace. Okay. When you are placing it, you'll want to make sure of a couple of things. For starters, when you have it on a surface that you want, you can hit the left and right arrows on your keyboard to rotate it, like so. Once you've got it rotated so that you can see this part where the two ore racks are visible, turn it back this way just a little. There we go. Once you can see the two visible ore racks, that's the side that you'll be doing most of your work with, loading and unloading nuggets and ingots. You'll want to make sure that you are able to get nice and close to it so that you can get all the way to the back of the furnace. The reason I say that is, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the ore. Alright. The reason that I say that is when you're loading and unloading, it's a little bit of a nuisance. Okay? As per most things, you mouse over it, the reticle will change, becomes a circle with a ellipsis inside it, 3 dots. Hit F twice and it turns it on or turns it off, and then you can mouse over the various things in the racks, whether it's ingots or nuggets, and it turns to a hand, and then the F key will take those things out of the rack. Now, in order to get to the very back of the top rack, you'll want to walk basically as close as you can to it, so then when you're mousing over that back portion, you have a bigger window of where your placement is, because as you can see here, you've got from approximately 10 pixels, 15 pixels below the top of that divider to just above it. So not a huge window of opportunity. If you're a little further back, that window gets smaller. So you right click with the ore in your active item slot, right click, and when you plop it in there, you see how it changes color? It changes to the appropriate lighting for the area. So the one in my hand is a little bit darker than the one that's actually in there, and then when I click, it'll actually brighten up a bit. And that's how you can tell you put it in there. Sometimes you'll think that you've clicked and put it in there, and then you mouse away and it'll do that to you where it's not actually there. So keeping an eye out for that subtle shift in the lighting is hugely helpful. Also, if you have it running while you're doing this, you can load and unload just fine, and it makes it, again, a little bit different story. You can see the light shifts a little bit more brightly in this situation with the furnace running. In the future, we may or may not be able to continue loading while it's running, but for the time being, it doesn't use any fuel, so it's not costing you anything to run it. The ore will cook from raw form into ingots in 6 minutes, and then you can go in and do another round. In the meanwhile, there's some other things we can talk about that don't use fuel. That would be cooking devices. So, under your miscellaneous, you'll find grill, freestanding barbecue basically, smoker, a larger, fancier barbecue, and the cooking grill, which you can only place over a fire pit. In preparation for this, I went ahead and created 32 iron rods and 43 iron plates because I apparently cannot count to 19. This one here needs 6, this one here needs 12, this one here needs 1, and somehow from 19 I got 43. So I will craft a barbecue, a smoker, and a cooking grill, and as you can see it ran me out of iron rods, but I got plenty of iron plates left over. Go math. Let's throw the excess iron pieces in here because we don't need them, and might as well ditch the ingots. And we're going to need some stone to create a fireplace. Fireplace you can do out of your crafting inventory, just out of the general tab here. You need 1 log and 9 pieces of stone. So let's grab that log from one of the piles I've got, and let's do that again. Okay, so fireplace, piece of log, pieces of stone, craft that, and we'll place it over here somewhere. Over here by this meat-filled chest. Okay, doesn't really matter where you place it because the cooking grill that you put on top of it will snap to it automatically. It won't let you place it independent of it or slightly off of it or anything like that, so it will automatically optimize it. So you aim where you want it, you right click, and after a few seconds of placing it, voila, you have 1 fire. And then you do the same thing with the cooking grill. See, now it's sitting at a kind of a 45-degree angle roughly. If I had rotated the fire pit more one way or the other, it would have changed that angle, but I really don't care. Let's find just how it is. So there we go. There's our cooking grill. And while we're over here, might as well set up a smoker, which is angled just right to sit against this wall here. So we'll put it back like so. And the barbecue little fellow we'll put in this corner. Okay, same deal as with the furnace. Mouse over it, you get to change cursor, F, and start smoking. With this one you have 2 options. First one opens it, and the second one, if you hit down arrow, will turn it on. Not particularly complicated. All of the meats have different cooking times. I don't have the current time for chickens, so we're going to test that right now. I'm not going to make you sit here and watch them cook, but I will time them and come back to you with that answer shortly. In the meanwhile, I will also throw on some ribs and bacon and beef steaks because, hey, why not? Cooked meat tastes better than raw meat. Basically, you put them into your active item slot, just like we've done many times before. A hard right click, and voila, you can see the light subtly shift on it, and it looks like it's in place, like so. And same thing with the bacon. Place it in just the same fashion. And we might as well do some ribs, just so you can see what those bad boys look like. Those I'm going to have to rotate just a little bit. There we go. Put you there. Put this one on. Oh jeez, it's going to take up too much of the rest of the barbecue. Like so. And this one can go in the smoker. So, as you can see, the freestanding barbecue has the least amount of space out of the 3. The one over the fire pit, I would say, has more space than it, but probably a little less than the smoker. I know from having used the smoker a few times, I've managed to shoehorn in more meat on there than on this by a long shot. I have not done a real tight fit job on this particular grill, so I may be wrong there, but it makes sense. The more advanced methods cost more materials and therefore should give you somewhat better performance. The cooking times, I should mention, speaking of performance, bacon only takes 3 minutes. The beef steaks take 4 minutes, and the ribs take a fantastic 9 minutes. Now that's 9 minutes. If you have the lid open or closed on the smoker, I don't believe it affects the cooking time, but we're going to find out by testing that with this batch that we put on there. So in 2 minutes time, the bacon should be ready on this and this, and if the lid does not affect cooking time, this as well. I'm not going to make you watch that, so I will bring you back in just a couple of minutes when they're done cooking.